Hi, my name is Mike Dillard, and this is Self-Made Man, the podcast for those who want to leave their mark on the world and create a legacy of honor, integrity, and achievement in every aspect of your life. I'm glad you're here, and once again, it is time to forge your destiny. There's often a headline that's used in the online entrepreneur space that goes something like this: learn how to turn your passion into profits. Now, the reason you hear it so often is because it's a strategy that works, and today's guest is an extraordinary example of what it means to turn your biggest passion or problem in life into a successful business venture. Kaylin and Brandon Poulin are currently in their early 20s, and over the past 3 years, they have built a little online business from scratch that currently does well over $1 million per month in recurring revenue. Now, this all started when Kaylin hit her breaking point. She was 65 pounds overweight, unhealthy, and tired of what she saw when she looked in the mirror every morning. So she did something about it. And within 12 months, she set a world record for the fastest woman to ever qualify for a professional fitness competition license. That personal transformation story served as the foundation for her new passion, helping other women reach their fitness goals and transform their health. So later that year, with the help of her husband Brandon, they launched ladyboss.com, a private membership community for women. And today, they currently have over 140,000 active members who subscribe for $27 a month. Do the math, and your jaw will drop. And by the way, did I mention that they're just 23 years old? So how did they do it? How did two young kids with zero previous marketing experience build an 8-figure business empire in one of the most competitive markets in the world? Well, you're going to find out here today as we dive into the details behind their marketing strategies for finding customers, retaining those customers, and building an incredibly loyal tribe. Kaylin and Brandon's success is unbelievably impressive, and I have studied every part of their business for months. So if you want to learn how to build a recurring revenue membership business, you're about to learn from some of the best of the best. Now, with that being said, make sure you head to selfmademan.com after you listen to this episode, and I want you to watch the new class from Russell Brunson. It's called The Truth About Making Money in an Online Business. And the reason you should go watch that class is because Kaylin and Brandon built their entire business using Russell's business model that he goes over in that class and his software platform. And the best part is that right now you can even watch that entire class for free along with the rest of the library for the next 7 days. So between those two resources, you're going to receive an absolute master's degree today in online marketing. And with that being said, please help me welcome Brandon Poulin. Welcome back. Today we have an absolutely phenomenal guest, an extremely successful entrepreneur with one hell of a success story. And Brandon Poulin, welcome to the show. Unfortunately, we were supposed to do this with your wife, Kaylin, but she is down for the count and sick today, unfortunately. So thanks so much for joining us, and we're happy to have at least you on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So you guys, husband and wife team, the founder of ladyboss.com, you've been absolutely crushing it over the last 2 to 3 years since you've started the business. Just to give people some context, you've got about 140,000 active members of your monthly mentoring and coaching program. And I've seen recently, which I'm sure we'll talk about today, you guys have started your own supplement line, your own apparel line. You've got an app, and you guys are just killing it. So I'm super excited to dive into how you guys have really built this brand and this company from scratch over the last couple of years.
Yeah, sounds like fun, man. Let's do it.
So what's your story? How did you and Kaylin get into this? How did you become entrepreneurs and end up where you are today?
Oh man, that's good question. So we met in California about 5 years ago, and it's funny. I saw her go single on Facebook about a year later, and I called her like a second later. I was like, "Hey," and then we wound up, getting together and married and everything, and it's just been awesome. But really, this journey of Lady Boss started about 3.5 years ago, and it really started with the two of us being a part of another health company. And we just that health company didn't espouse the values of integrity that we wanted to partner with. And, it wasn't our company per se. We were representing that company, and we did great. We had a lot of success, and we spent, 3-4 years in homes, face to face with people, having conversations 16 hours a day with the women that we now serve with Lady Boss. And so we really got to know our customer, right? A lot of people are like, oh, you launched your site and it was a success right away. And I'm like, yeah, there was like 4 years where we were like face to face with our customer, getting to know them, finding out their story, their pain, their struggle, and helping them with the solution. And so, fast forwarded now, helping serve over 1.2 million women and all the customers that you were talking about. And, it really just started with that journey and becoming passionate about it. And now, like, it's crazy looking back because, we never really imagined the scale that we'd be at now. But when you just serve your customer and you really understand them, I think like as entrepreneurs, we get really detached from like the people that we serve sometimes because we're either busy in our own life or whatever. But, we've built this great community that's allowed us to hear our customers on a continual basis and what they're saying and what they're talking about. And we literally just mold everything we're doing around that. So that's, I don't know if that answers your question. I kind of rolled off on a tangent, but,
Yeah, and I know Kaylin has a personal fitness story as well, right? Her own personal transformation when it came to her health that I think is really the foundation for all of this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. She lost 65 pounds herself. That was a huge thing. Like it's actually funny because literally her grandma, she was like reaching into a cookie jar literally to like grab another snickerdoodle cookie. Like, like your grandma's like snickerdoodle cookies, you know what I mean? Like Christmas time. And she was like going to grab and eat another one. And her grandma literally smacked her hand and was like, Kaylin, I don't think that you need another one of those. And she was like shocked, right? But that was like the pattern interrupt for her in her weight loss journey. And that set her off. And she's always been an achiever, but it set her like, you know what, like I'm tired of this. And so, she ended up losing 65 pounds and she documented the whole thing. And it's crazy because it took her about 7 months to lose the 65 pounds. And then immediately after that, she like posted online that she was going to compete in a fitness competition. And like, if you know anything about fitness competitions, like she had just lost the weight, right? And so it was kind of crazy that she said that. And so she actually ended up winning her first show. And then the second show, she won her pro card, which, if you're not familiar with IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding, it's like people compete for 10 years to get that. And she did it in her second show. So she actually broke a world record doing it, which is just insane because she's just so driven and just disciplined. It's incredible. And I married up, by the way, Mike. I'm married up. And so that kind of led to just that journey people got attached to online. And that coupled with our experience, one-on-one with our customers kind of led to like, okay, let's take this platform and let's help people with it. Let's make this our mission, our passion in life. Let's make this our thing we could do together. I can do the business and you can do the business and talk about it and we can kind of be a team. And so we've just literally wholeheartedly grown it together as a couple, which has been awesome and rewarding. But it's kind of interesting because she took kind of a turn. Like a lot of people who compete, they go into fitness and we made a line in the sand and said, no, we want to be in weight loss. We want to help the average woman. I mean, the average woman right now needs to lose more than 50 pounds. That's the average American woman. And so she kind of stepped down from competing and just said, you know what, like, let me, this was great. This was an incredible achievement, but how can I use this story springboard to inspire other women and it set the stage for her credibility and for her knowing what she's doing. And her experience has always been like the X factor, right? Like you can know a lot of stuff and she's crazy knowledgeable about it all, but having that personal experience just trumps everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah, without a doubt. And then from a business perspective, when you guys said, hey, we want to turn this into our own business instead of selling other people's products, I know that you're huge, the poster success stories for, Clickfunnels. And I've heard your name mentioned by Russell Brunson, 100 times. But what did the beginning of your business look like? Did you guys start with an ebook or with the membership site from the beginning? What was it?
Yeah, man. So we were crazy and we had a membership site from the beginning. And we literally buckled down for, and it's funny because I had one guy that I met that knew anything about the internet and like selling stuff on the internet in my hometown. and he showed me Clickfunnels, and I was like, because I was looking for something like, how am I going to use this site and sell it, right? And he showed me Clickfunnels. So that's kind of funny, but yeah. So we launched with a membership from the get go because it just made sense, and a healthy lifestyle, losing weight, it's not like a 90-day thing. It's a journey, it's a lifestyle, it's a routine that you put yourself in. It's how you win. Anyone, especially in the entrepreneur world, it's always like routine and what's the key. And honestly, that's the key, right? Is if you can give yourself this just task list or this, that makes it sound boring, but like, this routine, this thing that you can get in the groove of. And that's how, even personally for myself, I've been able to keep everything in line. And so we've focused on creating that with women through the Lady Boss lifestyle, helping them with it. And the membership just made sense because it just keeps going, right? It's perpetual. So
yeah. No, I mean, it's one of the most ideal business models in the world, which is really why I've focused on doing the same for the last 10 years now, is building membership-based businesses.
Sure.
But it can be one of the most difficult, especially today with so many membership offers out there. Yeah. And you guys have built one of the most successful I've ever seen. Building up to 140,000 active members in roughly 2-3 years is really unheard of. So I've been watching you guys as you've evolved specifically over the last 12 months. I've studied all of your websites, all of your copy. I've bought a membership. I've participated in the whole thing, right, as an observer. And what I
know, Mike, Lady Boss.
I am a lady boss.
Love it.
Because you guys you found some kind of pixie dust, right? There's some kind of secret sauce to what y'all are doing that is pretty rare to find. And I'm always students of successful entrepreneurs who've done that. So I have a hunch as to what it is, but I want to know what your answer to that is. What is the reason for the success of the membership? And there's two sides to it. There's acquisition. How are you guys successfully acquiring new members? And if you're willing to dive into some of the numbers and the math on how you do that, it would be really valuable because that's the secret sauce when it comes to paid acquisition. And then how are you retaining the people?
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Now I'm all hooked on your hunch. I'm like, what is it? What does he think it is? Just don't change it later after I tell you.
No.
No, it's good. Yeah. So for acquisition, yeah, I like this. I mean, if you boil it down, like you said, there's two sides. So for acquisition, oh man, I mean, I don't know a lot about your crowd and your podcast in general, Mike. I know about you. I know you're phenomenal at what you do. But as far as like acquisition, we just dove in on social media advertising. We've never really relied a lot on organic. We're working on different channels and expanding really right now is what we're focusing on. But Facebook has been key for us in acquisition, as most people who are running online businesses right now, because they've got the eyeballs, they've got the data, and just, man, it's hard. There's so many areas I could dive into when you say acquisition. But
well, let's say, for example, what has been the offer that has worked best? And, right now I've come across the whole free trial offer, right? Which is what we do. Almost the exact same thing. Start your free 7-day experience today. And then it's, I believe, $27 a month after that. So have you found that the free trial offer has worked best, or have you also tested going directly for the sale, upfront on moment one?
It's funny, man, because I'm like, so it's interesting. Like I did a round table with a bunch of entrepreneurs and everyone came and they're like, what's the price point? What's the offer? And it's interesting because I almost want to tell them like, you need to get somewhere that makes sense and then just like stick with it, because sometimes we're pulling the wrong levers in our business about what's going to grow it or what's going to work. And to be honest with you, man, I think we had like a $1 trial at some point and then we switched it to free, and I've never tested anything else.
Yeah.
Because I would say it's more about, I mean, the free trial just came because if you look at the biggest companies with the biggest memberships, that's what they do. And we just figured, let's just show people how awesome our product is, because it's way better than anybody else's, because our competition is a PDF from some guru on Instagram. Right. Or, I mean, there's a couple other awesome people in the weight loss industry that have similar program to ours, but there's not much. And so we just figured, let's show people how awesome our product is, and then they'll want to stay. Let's show them how awesome our community is. And that's probably the pixie dust. if you had to say what's the pixie dust, that retention side is showing them that community inside of that free trial. And so we spend a lot of time, and we put a lot of different points of automation to get people into the community as soon as they sign up for that trial, because the reality is that if you can build community around a common cause, then you can retain people. So, but we're not talking about retention, we're talking about acquisition. So that's really, it's focusing on, the pain that your customer has and showing them how good the offer is, making it easy for them to start. Like, order forms are really important. They've got to be simple. It's got to be minimum effective dose for how they get started. There's a lot of, like, you can go into abandoned cart sequences and all kinds of stuff like that. But I think the main part of the acquisition is, adding value up front every way that you can. I know it's so cliche to say, but like, we give away a free thing. Like, we'll do a 30-minute sales presentation on how, and then pitch a free trial, right? That's not normal, right? Like,
well, no, that's a great question. That's a great question. Let's talk about that, because when you say 30-minute sales pitch, I haven't seen that. So is that a video? Is it a webinar?
Yeah. So like kind of a VSL on Facebook style. And it's ultimately for us, it's like, hey, we want to help women lose weight while loving themselves again. That's our goal. And we've got to do everything within our power to convert and get those customers, because if we don't get the dollar, if they don't commit with their money, because people's heart follows their treasure, right? So if they don't give us their money, if they don't commit, then we can't help them. So, we do all kinds of different things in all different arenas. And so like, that's one of the things that we've done is a Facebook Live. And, fortunately, Kaylin is incredible on camera. She's been on stages. She's not shy at all. So, she's really good at helping women cross that bridge from like where she was using her story. And like, we spend 30 minutes on a live video to pitch a free thing. It's just, you've got to break through the noise and be so real. I mean, there's so many factors that like we could talk for hours about authenticity and like being real and just not trying to, like, I think a lot of people try to put on this like lifestyle, this like, oh, here's my Lamborghini and I'm so amazing and like this is why you should sign up. But honestly, like, if you just like shared openly and you were real about it, I think people connect with that more. And then you're adding value up front. You're giving them free things. You're showing them like we always say we aim to give away better stuff for free than other people charge for. And so if you do that, it sets you apart. You know what I mean?
Well, that brings me to what my hunch was. And my hunch, the best way I'm going to sum it up is with the word heart. So what I see you guys have that many other companies don't, that I think is the reason for your success, is heart. And I think you kind of summed up the authenticity factor of that, the genuineness that you have, and the fact that you actually give a damn, so.
That's right. It's weird. It's like, I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, yeah, it all just, boils down dollars and cents. And I was like, I don't really think it does. I think dollars and cents are good and you need to make them. But if that's first, then the people are, what, Mike, something that's really helped me. So like, this is probably like pulling this out of my like chest of like mindsets that have helped me more than anything else, period, in the last 3 years. And I would say that if you operate under the assumption that your customers are super intelligent and they're way smarter than you think they are, then you will just crush it. Because I think most people underestimate how smart their customers are and how they actually know what's going on, why they're buying and why you're trying to sell them. And I think that we really underestimate the consumer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially weight loss for us, because we're in like the most mature market, period. Like, we're in this market that's just been, people have been bombarded by everything. Right. You know what I mean? And so I think you cut through the noise and you show that authenticity and that heart. Like you said, we've been super blessed. But I think that if you seriously take a look at your customer, like think about your customer right now and think about like when you're crafting a message or you're crafting an ad or you're going to run a new Facebook ad or you're going to do a webinar, like, are you actually giving them credit and speaking to them in a way that, like, assuming that they really understand and they're smart and they know that you're selling, like, and that's helped us a lot in crafting and communicating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I love that frame. So with with that essentially being your secret sauce, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, I think, who really care about their customers and who could do something similar. At the end of the day, you've still got to you still have to be able to execute and build your business and market, which is a pretty cutthroat black and white deal. Either you can spend $1 and make more than $1 back, or you're not. So,
sure.
On the marketing side, I know that I've gone through your funnel, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. On average, could you, and you can keep whatever you want private, but could you set an expectation for folks on typically what you could expect to spend on marketing to acquire a free trial customer?
Oh man, it really varies. I'll tell you this, man, it's, just like any industry or any channel that marketers are going to go ruin, right? Because we just bombard things. Our acquisition costs on Facebook has doubled or tripled in the last couple of years. And it's just like it's like a flashing light. Like, you can't rely on one channel, one platform, right? You got to be, I think you should master, I think you should master one. And then you should go, okay, like once I've mastered one and it's working, like how do I kind of start splintering off and finding other ways to get customers that really work? As far as like how much, it really varies. It depends on the offer. We have 9 different offers. We got 5 supplements and 2 ways into our core Lady Boss lifestyle digital product, and we have a coaching program. And so we got a bunch of different things, but usually, I think the industry, the average kind of for us is somewhere around like 40 to probably more like $30 to $60.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ballpark 50.
Yeah, so it really varies. It's somewhere in there as far as how much you're going to spend. But like, we've had unicorn ads that just every once in a while. I mean, so I think a smart thing to do early on, and it's funny because when we first started scaling, I had spent like $1,000, and I didn't even realize that the return on that $1,000, and I didn't even, like, I had this emotional barrier to spending. And as entrepreneurs, like, we have, if you're not breaking new thresholds every day, then you're not growing your business, right? It's like if your lid as the leader, as the entrepreneur isn't growing, and you're not doing different things every day, it's like, you're not growing, right? And like, I had this crazy emotional threshold about ad spend, and that I had to break through, and I had like a 5x return on the money. I didn't even understand, and I didn't even spend more. It's like, because I was just scared to spend money, right? And you have to break out of that mentality, out of that mindset, and just like go for it, right? Put your foot on the gas when the numbers make sense. But early on, I think one of the big things about scaling and advertising is that you need to set a number that you're willing to spend. And then we call it the magic metric, right? Like, what's the number you're willing to spend to acquire a customer? And then you spend everything possible up until that number. And if you do that, it takes the emotion out of it, right? And it's been helpful. Yeah,
no, without a doubt. I mean, that's the same marching order I give my Facebook agency, which is, hey guys, here's what it's costing us to acquire a customer, and here's what we're getting on initial value. So if someone, if a new customer is worth $100, I'll say go spend up to $100 to acquire as many as you can. Right. And you'll make money after that.
And then you have to go, okay, as you grow a business, and it becomes more about taking market share and about acquisition and speed, right? It's like, okay, now I got to maybe spend over and recoup it on the back end, or and then if you look at, like, obviously probably your audience is more startup or more kind of organic entrepreneurs. Like, I've never taken any money from any company that wanted to invest or anything like that. But, a lot of companies, they'll go, VC backed software companies, stuff like that. They're going to go, 6 months negative ROI on a customer acquisition. So it's like, that's why we have to be crafty. We have to have better ads. We have to be good marketers. We have to understand and care about our customers to win, right?
Absolutely. And I think a really big part of this that I know revolutionized my business, 10 years ago, was an upsell, right? And so going through y'all's funnel, I think you have probably 4 or 5 upsells, and those are designed to increase that initial customer value, right? You can't give away a product for free, spend $50, $60 to acquire that customer and stay in business for very long. So those upsells are what's going to allow you to recoup that ad spend immediately on day one rather than waiting 1 to 2 months down the road, which is really, really risky. So obviously, I'd assume that you guys have had your business revolutionized once you incorporated your first upsell as well. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, and for us, it's like, what's the next logical thing? And here's what's cool. Someone, a good friend of mine, Myron Golden, he said this, and I was like, wow. He's like, Brandon, every problem that you solve creates a new problem. So every problem you solve for a customer creates a new problem. And so now it's like, oh, I'm on this weight loss plan, but what supplement should I take? That's the first question, right? So, if you examine your own business, you probably realize like there's a next question, and there's always a next question, right? So for us, like the evolution was, what supplement should I take? And then it's, okay, well, now I need workout clothes, and like, okay, now I need a shaker bottle to put, my supplements in, and then and you can definitely drown. You can drown in that a little bit, so take it slow on that. But really, for us, it was like, what's the next logical thing? And they wanted supplements, and we looked out around, and we were like, okay, first of all, like most supplements are for men, and they've got crazy hormones and ingredients and testosterone and stuff. And so we spent like 16 months developing a supplement line, working with doctors, finding the stuff that we want to take. And then, then it became in there. We used to have a guide before we actually had the supplements, because we wanted to, it was just like, what do they want? They want to know what supplements. So what can we deliver right now to help them solve that problem? Right. And then that was the upsell. And now it's our own stuff, which is awesome, right? It's a lot more fun when you're like, hey, we can really believe in this stuff.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
From the break even, like you said, I mean, if you've got a free trial model and you have a membership, our goal is spend as much as possible so we can just break even on the front. We usually do better than that, but at this point in our scaling and we have back end and we know our numbers pretty well, and we want to just affect more lives as quick as possible. So it's like, as long as we can break even on the front and we're not cash flow negative, then we can scale to infinity, right? So that's kind of the idea behind the upsell and knowing your cart value at the end of the funnel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just ballparking here, but what we'll call initial customer value, right? The customer value at the moment they sign up for that free trial is probably going to be between $100 and $200 on average, $150-ish.
I'd say it's in there, yeah.
Yeah. Just ballpark. So all of a sudden you went from someone spending zero to 10 minutes later spending $150. So that's what makes it all work.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the community aspect of this, because that's such an important part when it comes to stick rate. None of this matters if somebody cancels the next month. And so from a community component, this is something that I've been looking to incorporate into Self-Made Man for the past month or two. I'm just kind of ruminating, what does that look like? How should we structure it? Sure. Are you guys just using a private Facebook group or using your own platform? What do you use first and foremost?
Yeah, everyone I've ever seen that's tried to create their own platform has failed.
Yeah.
So I actually was talking to someone yesterday, and there was like some guys that I forgot the name of the site, but basically they were competitors with Facebook back in the day, and they have their own. You can white label, but anyways, I'm not going that. We have a private Facebook group, and the incredible thing about Facebook is like all these algorithm changes are favoring groups because they're favoring personal interaction between profiles, between people, and they're kind of removing that. They've started shifting away from the media, and that just helps. So when you get your customers into a group and they start engaging with each other, all Facebook's going to do is show them the engagement from your group with each other. And so it's like you've got Facebook promoting your community 24/7 inside their cell phone. And I mean, if you're not utilizing a Facebook group, then like go do that right now. Like if you guys listening, like if you don't have a Facebook group for your customers, you need to go make one right now.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think one of the hesitations I have around that is, sure. And I think anyone who's just getting started on their own is going to have the same challenge.
Yeah.
Which is, what are the expectations that you set for your group members?
Awesome.
As far as what you're going to provide? And
sure.
How do you do that in a reasonable way without you being completely consumed or burned out?
Yeah, definitely. And Kaylin just spoke at Funnel Hacking Live a couple weeks ago, kind of about this community, the identity shift and how to do it. But just to give you like, I mean, here's what it does. When you create a Facebook community, number one, like I remember when we first started this, I was running away from our members. I was like, do not email them. They're going to cancel. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm so happy you said that because everybody has that fear, right?
Yeah, we have that fear and we're like, crap, like, and you know what? I wrote a kind of a CEO letter from the desk of Brandon, CEO address to the whole community at the end of 2017. And one of the things I said was, you know, you guys are incredible, and what you've done with our community in this group has just been just a blessing to be a part of. But I'll be honest, it keeps us on our toes over here at headquarters. It keeps our team in line. It keeps us steering in the right direction and putting you guys first, because there's so much transparency when you create that, and it can be scary. And I'd say take the leap, because the more that you communicate with your customer after they join, the longer they're going to stay. Because like people don't spend money on things that they're not using. But if there's one vertical of so like for us, like we're workout, so we're weight loss. So if they're using our supplements, our grocery list, or our meal plan, or our workout plan, or they just make a friend in the community, that's enough for them to stay. So it's like, if you can just get that one thing, and you just absolutely 100x the chance of them finding that one thing if you create that community, because they're going to see someone else using the program in a certain way or something that'll draw a connection for them. So just like, I just want to encourage people, like communicate with your customer as much as possible after they buy, if they're in a continuity, because they're not going to pay if they're not using it. So with the group, Mike, because you asked, and it's a monster. I'm not going to lie. You know, obviously it depends on how many customers you have. But when we created it, like, we didn't know what we were getting into. But I've got a couple things that could shortcut like 2 years of pain for all of you guys listening. So like the first thing is that, you know, one of the things, like I asked the pastor at my church, I said, how do you get people to come here twice a week for 25 years? I was like, that's incredible, right? Like, that's insane. He's like, we know who we are, we know what we believe, and we know what we stand for, and the way and the flavor of how we do things will change, but the heart is always the same. So I took that and said, okay, we need to know who we are as a company, and that's a huge thing. Is like, at Lady Boss, like, we know our mission is to help women lose weight while loving themselves. We know how we do it. We know why we do it, and we know when we're winning. We know all of those things, and it's a mission that we read every morning as a team on the huddle. In fact, I'm sitting in my office, and there's you know, our team is outside, and we have about 35 people now, and they're all in the huddle reading. They're going to read it out loud probably in a few minutes. It takes like 7 minutes every morning to do this, and so we know who we are. And so what that does is that permeates everything. It permeates customer service. It permeates your advertising, it permeates your messaging. And one of the issues I've seen is a lot of people, they'll create a business and they don't like their customers because they weren't clear about who they were and who they wanted to serve. And that makes the group a pain. If you've got a bunch of people you don't like and a bunch of people that don't like align with your values because you kind of just like, I want to sell to anybody, right? That makes it tough. So it's like, if you know who you are and now you're inviting people in this group, they're going to be like-minded with you and the company, and it's not going to be like this struggle of like, these people drive me crazy, right? So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is you've got to set boundaries about what the group is for, but more importantly, what it's not for. So that's something that we do through a pinned post at the top of the group, and it's a video that we have that Kaylin did. So we made a big giant list of like, what were all the problems we were experiencing? So people spamming links, people being negative. What are all the things we don't want? And
people asking for a refund in the middle of the group. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I did the exact same thing because people would post support issues in the middle of, you know, the message board. And then the second person's like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, cancel or, you know, get a refund or whatever too. And then a third person pops up. And, you know, all of a sudden the people who have been not active and unplugged are just reminded now that, hey, I'm not participating in this. I might as well leave, right? Sure. And it just turns into a customer service support channel, which is not what you want. So we did the exact same thing.
I've got like I think it is, I don't think it's what you want as a main thing, but I do think that there's a lot of value and power in those questions. So our kind of SOP, if you will, with our support team. And if you're just getting started with your group, or you have a VA or one person, it doesn't matter. But I mean, it's going to take some time. Like if you want to cultivate a culture and a community of people that are going to pay you every month after month after month, it's going to, it takes some energy in there. And what I would say is, so Mike, you probably don't look at your own comments anymore. I don't know if for us, like we can't look at that because you don't want any of that negative in your frame, right? You like, let's train a team member how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I'd say is when your customers are commenting and they're putting questions and stuff, this is your opportunity to save them, because they're going to go cancel if they don't get an answer. And now you can see what their answer is, because a good friend of mine, Alex Charfin, he's been on here, I think, right?
Alex is one of my best friends.
Yeah. So you know him. He's awesome. And one of the things that I was listening to something he was talking about, and we work together, and I'm in his Grow and Scale program, which has been phenomenal for team building. But one of the things that he said is a complaint is an opportunity for you to fix something, and now you know about it, right? So it'd be like, well, if Susie and Sally have this issue with your program and you don't have a way that they could communicate it with you, or maybe they wouldn't have sent an email, now you know. So what we do is we have our support team deal with it as like a support team page. So we have Lady Boss support team as a page that engages in the group, not necessarily Kaylin. So it's not, the character of the business dealing with support, which she doesn't anyway. She doesn't have time to. But then we deal with it, and then we just hide it. We just remove it out. So we kind of get to it as fast as possible, deal with it. Let's save the customer, and then we remove it out. So that's really helpful. And another thing is, you will be blown away once you get your community going, how much people want to help facilitate it. And that's something that's really, really cool. So we find the most engaging, value-adding members of our community that we really like, and we say, you know what, they represent what Lady Boss is about. And we send them an email, and we ask them if they want to commit and accept the title of a Lady Boss Angel, right? So do they want to become like a kind of a little bit higher status in our community? And it comes with the responsibility of helping our support team make sure the group is conducive to the goals of everyone that's in it, right? And so now we've got, I think we have 50 or more now, because our group is huge. It's a monster. There's like 1 million engagements a month inside of it.
How many members do you have right now?
So we have in the group itself 40,000, and of that 40,000, about 85% of those people are active.
So again, when it comes to setting expectations, if someone's starting from scratch, they don't have 35 people on their team. Let's just say it's just them. Sure. What are the expectations that you guys set on what you deliver in that group? Are y'all doing a live Facebook once a week? How often are you adding value to the group or content?
Sure, absolutely. So Kaylin definitely strives to go in there. We don't set like a specific, commitment around it. At our level, it's just not necessary. I mean, even if you're including that as like a bonus or a part of your program or your continuity, I don't think it's necessary. I think you just do it. But as far as the expectations starting day one, if it was just me and I was starting my own group on, let's say I had a product about how to grow a continuity business, and it was just me, and I was creating a group for all the people that had signed up, I would set those expectations. I'd lay out like what is this for and what it's not for. I'd write them all out. I'd do a video on it and be like, oh, this is so exciting. Welcome to the group. Like, this is amazing. But guys, there's just some rules, because without police, like people riot and there's anarchy. And like, we want to make this the best place that's most conducive for you to grow and learn and reach this objective that we're all here for. Right. And then I would kind of lay the groundwork for what it's for. Here's something awesome to post this, post your workout. I guess not the same business, but for us, it's like post your workout, post your something you need help with, post a question, post your victories, post, things that are important to you. Like, we want people to connect on all levels inside the group. And then it's like, okay, you can't post links. And so setting those boundaries, and then just, if it's just me, I would say you got to jump in there. You got to engage. When we started the group, it was a lot of, Kaylin just engaging and liking and commenting and just, using her interaction with them. But, using your interaction to reward the right type of behavior. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's all really good. Yeah, I mean, you've got to find reasons to engage, right? Or events to engage with, or whatever it may be. So one of the really most interesting ideas that I've come across over the last month when it comes to a Facebook group came from a friend that I met at Aubrey Marcus's house, who does all of Onnit's paid Facebook acquisition, and he has a couple of other clients as well. And he said having a Facebook group has been absolutely critical to their paid acquisition strategy. Right. But what they're doing a little bit differently is that they're leaving the group free and open to the public, so anyone can join. Sure. And they're using that as an interaction point and an introduction point, right? So the door's wide open. Anybody can join this group, and they essentially get exposed to your tribe at that point. Yep. And all of the members who are, let's say, paid members, and we'll just use Self-Made Man as an example for this. If you're a paid Self-Made Man community member, we're talking about stuff. We're talking about lessons or videos or classes that we've done, or the private stuff that only paid members are seeing. We're talking about that in that public forum, and it kind of creates some FOMO for the people who aren't paid members, and they're missing out on that experience, right? Absolutely. They can't participate in the conversation, so it becomes this conversion point from free to paid. So for me personally, that's kind of my last piece of this puzzle that I'm trying to figure out is, should we start a Self-Made Man group and leave it open to the public, or should we leave it as private as one of the paid benefits of being a paid member? And I can't decide. I can't decide the answer to that.
Totally, man. What's the price point per month?
19 a month or 97 a year.
Okay. So we've never done a free group. And the reason, so the strategy you're talking about, a lot of people are crushing it. I have a lot of friends that are doing higher ticket programs that they warm people up in that free group. And it's almost like an email list, but way better. Right. It's like you're just getting people added to this list. So if you think of it like an email list, it actually makes a whole lot of sense. And I've just found for us, maybe it's I'm being closed-minded and crazy, and like it would work if we just made it free. But I also know that even at the high volume of customers that we have hundreds of new customers a day. It's like it's already enough to keep it going the direction that we want, and it's rocking and rolling, and we don't have a problem with our acquisition process. But I think for someone who's got a higher ticket thing, it really could be really valuable to have that free group to get people warmed up. And then you have a separate paid group. So my friends that are doing high ticket stuff, I know that's what they do. That's kind of the model. It's like you got the free group and then you got the paid group, and then you kind of like encourage the paid group to go into the free group and like share their story, and people like to be featured and talk about success and winning, and then they get to see that and get exposed to it, kind of like you said. So that's a great model that works for us. I felt like it would water down how valuable the group actually is, because now anyone can come in, and then it just becomes more at our volume, more of a administrative burden and less of a value for the customers, just because we're low ticket, right? Like it's $27 a month and it's free to get in the first place, right?
Right.
So that's kind of been my thought process on it. So I don't know, man. I think it's just an individual kind of decision, but that's why I've gone that route. You know what I mean? Because we could open it up. Facebook doesn't let you promote groups. You can promote the link to a group, but again, it just all kind of boils down to that acquisition process. If you're using it as an acquisition process, I think it's incredible. But for us, it just didn't make sense at the volume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So interesting food for thought. And like I said, like you said, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer. I think it makes sense for what you guys are, because you've already got acquisition taken care of.
Sure.
So if acquisition and you're starting from the ground floor is your number one priority, does it make sense to open it for free? And there's not a clear answer there. So
yeah, I just know like some of my friends that are doing free groups is because it's free completely, like anybody can get in. Sometimes it like they just end up hating the group and like despising it, because it's just such a burden to keep in the right direction, because there is no financial.
That's a great consideration point.
You know what I mean?
As well. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, groups are a blessing and a curse. I've had them twice. I've built an entire social media platform 7-8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
We had tens of thousands of free users and members on there, and people posting content. And I think we had over 1 million pages of user submitted articles and videos on the platform, and a forum, obviously. And it was just a blessing and a curse. I had to sue one of the trolls on there, who was just, the guy had mental issues, but it got to the point where, we had to take legal action against somebody. So it's one of the reasons why I've been hesitant to do it. But
sure,
at this point, it's just so important, especially if you have a membership site. You've got to have that tribal component to it.
Yeah.
Or your stick rate's just not going to be there unless you're software, right? If your software, it's a different ballgame. You don't need that. If you're a group of individuals aligned around a common set of values and a mission and a set of goals, you got to have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And if you looked at our blocked list, you'd be astonished how many people we've kicked out. But we create a process for it. It's like a second violation and you're out. Like we don't mess around. You know what I mean? It's like we're adding 300 to 500 women a day. So it's like there's no tolerance for people that are going to be negative, because those aren't the customers we want to serve anyways. And it's not worth it. It's like, as the entrepreneur, it's a heartache. It's like a headache. Like you said, this guy is one person, but he's like consumed this part of your brain in this project that is just like unnecessary, right? And it's tough. And so we don't want to put ourselves in that position, right? And obviously, like I'm sure you blocked him and stuff.
No. I'm super quick on any of my social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. If someone is rude at all, insta-block.
Get rid of them, man. Ask Mark Zuckerberg how he feels about having a massive community right now. It's not easy.
Well, cool. This has been super valuable. I've got one final question for you based on what you just said, right? 300 to 500 new customers a day. If someone's just starting out, they've got their business up and ready to go, you've got to start somewhere when it comes to a sales presentation or a marketing funnel. It's not like you can set up 9 in a day. You've got to start with 1.
Right.
And ideally, that one needs to work. You've got to make that one your absolute best shot in the world, right, and pull out all the stops. What would you recommend for folks if you were consulting someone or coaching someone, if that was their primary question right now? Are you going to say, based on what's worked for y'all, right? Say, hey, I would focus on a 5 to 25 minute VSL, or I would focus on a webinar. What would you suggest?
Man, that's a good question. I would say you got to do what works for yours, and it's an awful answer. I would say if you have, so general rule of thumb is if you have something that's new or unique that people don't really quite understand yet, a video is better because you're going to need to explain a little more. And then if you have something that's pretty easily understood, like for us, a pocket personal trainer is the word that we use to connect what our program is, right? Because that makes sense. They're like, oh, okay. Like fitness membership site to a woman who needs to lose 100 pounds, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what is that? Like, what do I do in that, right? But a pocket personal trainer, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like everything a personal trainer gives me because that's people's idea, and we've connected it, right? So I do a video more if you need to explain more, or I would do more of a written kind of page if it's kind of a self-understood concept, if that makes sense. And then I would try both once you get rolling. But like you said, Mike, you need one funnel. That's it, man. We had one funnel for 2 years. It wasn't until the last year and a half that we expanded the line and connected them all and have all this crazy stuff now that
So what was that? That's exactly what I was talking about, right? Like that was your one shot and it worked. So was that a VSL with a button under it or a long form letter?
It was a long form sales page, and it looked horrendous. I'll tell you, it was awful. And, but it worked, because the copy, and this is where like, I would say throw all your price points and all of these marketing like funnel structure theories out the window, because if your copy, that's all that matters. It's what's the message that you're getting across, and if there's two like cornerstones that we always use when we craft messaging. And so if you're going to write this page and you're going to buy ads to it and you're going to create a membership, like number one, what is your customer? What is their pain? And then what is their dream, right? And if you just focus on those two things, like you can't ever get it wrong. And that's kind of what we do still. We try to simplify it all, right? It's like pain and dream and then offer. You know what I mean? And stores. Talk about that pain, talk about that dream, use a story to convey it, and then present an offer. I think it's so simple, and I think we get caught up in like I said, pulling the wrong levers and like, what price point and what structure and how many like funnels and you need all that stuff once you get rolling. But like you said, Mike, it's one funnel, and Russell always says you're one funnel away. And I'm like,
that's totally true. That's totally true. The last business, membership business I started before Self-Made, we started at the end of 2010. We had one webinar that I wrote. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And we sold a $97 a month membership, or $597 for the year. We produced one video lesson per month. And that webinar was our only marketing funnel. It was the only way that we sold the program. Did $10 million in sales in its first year. And that's it, right? One webinar was it.
That's it, man. I love it.
What year did you guys launch kind of the membership? 2014, 15? How long have you been going now?
Pretty much 2015 January. So we're going on 15, 16, 17. We're going on our fourth year. We're starting we're at end of quarter one, year 4 right now. So yeah, it's been a wild rocket ride, and but it's been exciting, man. It's so fun to be an entrepreneur. It's never boring. It's never the same thing, and that's been the growth. And it's crazy at each stage. It's like first you're starting out, you just need to figure out how to craft an offer that converts, right? And you just need to create customers, right? And then you've got to then consistently be able to do that, right? And then it's like, okay, once you can consistently create customers with this offer, then it's like, okay, now you need to get better at traffic so you can get more of those customers, right? And then it's like, okay, now I got to focus on retention. And so you go through these like stages of growth, and it's all different. It's just exciting. I mean, 2018, for anyone listening, like truly, this is an absolutely incredible time to be alive. Like where you can literally use a laptop anywhere in the world and create anything that you want and serve people. It's insane. Like 10 years ago, I mean, I'm 24 years old. So for me, it's like, I don't know anything else, but I also can recognize that like, the internet's only 24 years old, right? Facebook's only 14 years old. So it's like, this is just an incredible time to be alive and to listen to a podcast like this and to, talk to people through a computer. It's just an incredible time. And we just got to realize that and take advantage of it,
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's amazing. And then final question is, you guys, you mentioned earlier you have 35 people in your team now. Where have you been learning how to grow and manage a team? Because that is a completely different skill set than creating and selling a product.
Yeah, absolutely. It started by talking to the business owners that I knew, like just in my own network, like who had employees. Like, how did you do this stuff, right? Like, how do you handle it? How do you manage it? How do you grow it? What do you do? And honestly, it's like as a pain came up, you kind of pick the problem and find out and research and get help. And I'm all about modeling, obviously, right? It's like if someone's done something successfully, let's just talk to them, find out how they're doing it. And I had about 14 people on my team about 6 months ago, and I crossed roads with Alex Charfin and his Billionaire Code Grow and Scale program. He laid it out so simply. And so we've taken that and we've ran with it. I think he's got a couple different levels of programs that are awesome for team building for kind of specifically internet entrepreneurs. And so he's been instrumental, and then just really taking his processes and adding our own flavor and just developing that and just, listening. And man, it's a process though, right? And you realize really quickly that, once you've got the process of people and you kind of have a system in your company to handle new people, everything at that point becomes a limit of good human resources. I think one of the most undervalued things in the entrepreneur world today is people, and everyone wants everything to be so outsourced. But our customer service couldn't be as incredible as it is. Our community couldn't be as incredible as it is. I'm biased, by the way, so I'm saying it's incredible. I'm a little biased, but it couldn't be that way with people who don't know us and aren't part of our culture. And so we've like really shifted to all in-house and building that dream team that cares and fits the culture first. And then we train, and that's another thing, Mike, like with, and I may be giving way more than you asked for here.
No, please.
But one of the things that would have helped me so much is that if you hire character and you train skill. I think when we hire, we look for character, we look for competence, and we look for commitment. So we're looking for people that are good people that want to do the right thing, people that are competent, like can they learn quickly? Do they understand? And then people who are committed, like are they willing to put in the work? And if you have those three things, everything else you can train. Like there's so many incredible courses. Well, one thing that absolutely changed the way I looked at people in my company was a guy I knew was literally just like I went to his house and he was having he had like a chef there. I was like, you have a chef? He's like, oh, well, I have an assistant. This is a chef that I flew in to teach my assistant how to cook this special way that I wanted to eat for a weekend because I couldn't afford the chef, so I could train him. And I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. So now it's like we can find great people, plug them into all of these crazy, amazing courses and resources out there, and we can have an in-house culture and team and really provide that customer experience that we want to deliver to separate ourselves in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's something that we've really done. But
very cool. Well, I'm going to give a plug here for Alex.
Absolutely.
We have 2 amazing lessons from him on selfmademan.com, guys. So if you haven't plugged into those or watched those yet, go to the platform, look up the entrepreneurship category, and look for Alex's 2 lessons. And one of them is on the Billionaire Code, which is this entire scaling methodology that he teaches. So you can go access that right now, which would be awesome. So Brandon, thank you so much, man, for the time and for the transparency. I'm really bummed Kaylin couldn't make it, so maybe we'll have to have her on again on a round 2 at some point. But This has been one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. So thank you so much for all of the value that you brought today. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, anything to help. It's just like, it's such a journey and there's so many pieces and man, it's like you can compress time and shortcut it by listening to a podcast like this. And Mike, you got a rock star lineup on your podcast. I'm going to have to dig into some of these episodes, man. This is some really, really good stuff. And congrats on all your success, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and just hope people can take stuff away and just implement, just take action, just do it, you know?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And guys, go do what I did. If you success leaves clues, whether you're a man or a woman, go to ladyboss.com. If you want to learn marketing, hit record on ScreenFlow or Jing, whip out your credit card and go through their process.
And then sign up for our affiliate program.
There you go. That would be phenomenal. So yeah, without a doubt, be a student of what's working, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job. So go to ladyboss.com, check it out. Brandon, thank you for the time. So much appreciated. And as always, guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate your support immensely. I really do appreciate and love the feedback that I get from many of you after these shows through Instagram specifically. I get a lot of comments, and on Twitter. So thanks so much for sending those in and letting me know that you're out there listening and that you're getting value from all of these episodes. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Take care.